Hello everyone. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm Claire Mandela. I work for Favour of God Ministries, Gulu, Uganda. And I'm in the accounts section, a bookkeeper. I'm so grateful to serve God in that department. And today I would like to share with you my life testimony. Personally, I am a living testimony. When you see me sitting, just know this is a sitting testimony. I joined Favour of God Ministries in 2015, and since then, God has been so wonderful, so amazing. God has moved in our lives. We've grown so much. I came when I was a little girl, but you can see I've grown into a bigger girl now, and this is the goodness of the Lord, and this all thanks to Favour of God Ministries. And so, as part of development of the organization, in 2017, as one of the development strategies is to send us back to school. Under staff development program, we were taken back for further training, and personally had not had an experience learning in accounting. So I was enrolled for an accounting course, and in 2017, the journey began. It started so well, and God moved mightily. And I personally realized the goodness of God through that project. Towards the end, that was 2019 December, as I prepared for my final exams, university examination. A few days to my examination paper is when I began feeling something so strange about myself. I know myself, I know my body, but this time I woke up into a new me. I woke up with swollen face and I couldn't recognize myself. I tried to think about it, but it didn't go much into me. And I walked to office, worked it all day, and it disappeared. The following day, the event reoccurred, and I became a little concerned. I went to a clinic to get checked, and a few tests were taken, and none of them turned out positive. So the doctors advised that maybe it could be an allergic reaction to something. And I took in their advice and came back. And it didn't take another one day. I woke up with both swollen face and swollen legs. And this became a little alarming because the allergy couldn't go. So I realized there was something that needed doctor's attention. And I got back to the clinic and explained the same event. I was referred for further tests to other advanced laboratories, at least 2, to be able to confirm what was challenging. And the doctors gave me the tests to run out. I ran to these laboratories, very curious to know what was happening to my body. And these test results came back. The first ones were all negative, nothing showed up. I became so concerned and worried at the same time. And it began challenging and it began increasing. I went back to the same doctor and needed help. I was referred to Lacho Hospital. I went and met the best doctors. Favour arranged for me the best doctors. I met the best doctors and conducted the tests. And nothing still came out of the tests. This became alarming. This became very challenging and alarming. And I became more and more concerned of what was running around. Everybody became concerned, but I also had my examination papers to run. So in the process, I was given first aid treatment, with the doctors telling me they are not aware of what they are treating. The doctors were treating symptoms that showed up. So I was put into some medications, I was put on drip and other medications. Towards the end of completion of my paper, it became so worse and my body was swelling. My whole body began to swell and it became another concern. So we asked the doctors if they could refer me for further treatment. So I was referred to go and meet a cardiologist, which I did. Again, I was sent back to do organ tests. I checked all my body organs. That was the 3rd time. And still nothing showed up. There was nothing in my organs. This became challenging. Again, I took an initiative and went back for a test. But before we knew it, the director instructed that I be sent for further treatment to the best specialist beyond Gulu, that was Kampala and the city. So arrangements were made and the best city doctors were prepared for me, and part of our staff were allowed to transport me to the place, and I met the doctors. That was on December 22nd when we traveled. We arrived safely and God was so faithful, and the following day I was able to meet a doctor And I met a general doctor because we didn't know the challenge that we had. The plan decided was to meet a specialist, but simply because we didn't have a result that was genuine, that would refer us to a specialist, I was again sent back to a general doctor. So from the general doctor's clinic, the results now came out. This time something showed up in my kidney. My kidneys were not doing well. So when the doctor saw me, he asked whether I had other people around me. I was like, yeah, I came with some people, but they're not in. So he requested if they could come in. But I was able to receive the results. I just told the doctor to tell me whatever it was. By that time when I went, I was prepared for any results, and I was prepared to receive any news. But above all, I knew whom I serve. That was the Most High God. So the doctor told me, the news is not so good, but they are going to try. I was like, whatever it is, just tell me. So that is when I was given the information about the kidney challenge. The first thing I did was to call Mama Betty. Fortunately, she was in accounts office. I delivered the news to her. And the first question she asked was, whose report do you believe? I felt so alone. And the second phase she made was, you are not alone. You moved with Jesus. And immediately she began to call people, members of the organization, and they convened into a prayer. Thanks to everybody who participated in that. And they began to pray for me. I was still at the hospital. Looking at the doctor straight in the eyes, I couldn't blink my eye. I became so stuck with my swollen body, very needy. But the news alone came as if it was something fresh in my mind. And I told the doctor, what chances do I have? How much time do I have? That was my first question. And the doctor told me he couldn't give me the details because he is not the specialist. So he asked to be referred to a specialist, and that was not the day for that specialist. So arrangements were made. A specialist was got from Mulago Hospital, and he showed up. By evening, after his duty, he came to read my results. The doctor was not so positive because he doesn't know Jesus. He's not a born-again Christian. He was not so positive about the results, but he told me they were going to try. So I told the doctor, it's not a trial. I've not come for trial, I've come for treatment. All you need to do is treat. And you are not the healer. I'll be healed no matter what. He still insisted we need to try. Another recommendation was to find out the degree of the spread, how fast the disease is spreading in the kidney, because he said the numbers are not good. The results is not so good, but they are going to try. And I asked him, what if this trial fails? What other options do we have? So the doctor told me to be calm and not concentrate on other options, but concentrate on what we can start. So they began making phone calls to other doctors, and they began making consultations and began recommending so many tests on me. Some of the tests were taken immediately, but the others, the specialists were out of the country. So I was referred and given a further date for the tests. On the 24th is when we got back to Gulu, and we found everybody waiting for us. But amidst all these challenges, the team from Gulu were so much into prayer for me. That was the time I realized everybody loved each other in the organization. Everybody gave their time. Remember, that was festive season. People should be feasting. But people got involved and so concerned about this, and prayer became the feast of the day. And above all, I got home. I couldn't talk much. I was so disappointed in myself, and I would question God. But I realized one thing. I realized God had not left me. I believed him, and something came so strong within me. Even when my body was failing, I just told myself, God, you declared in your word that you've heard my cry. You've seen my tears. You will heal me. You said in your word that you've heard my prayer. You've seen my tears, and you will heal me. And you again declared that you'll restore my health and heal all my wounds. I clung to those two key words. I clung to those scriptures, and it brought me safely. And those are the scriptures that kept ringing in my mind. And people did not leave me there. People began to call. People began to make declarations. People began to pray. And we went through the season. It wasn't easy, I must tell you. It wasn't easy. Even after the medications, when I began taking the medications, it still got worse. the condition was still deteriorating. That's when we realized this needed God. So members continued to pray with me. People continued to check on me. People never stopped calling. People never stopped praying. Others called at midnight, at 1 a.m. Scriptures began to come in, messages. And I became calm. Even when my body was failing me, my heart became firm that I had people. And I trusted in God. I told myself one thing. I said, I will get through this. I will get through this. And that declaration was tempted, because as I continued with the medications, my condition was deteriorating. And for somebody who didn't know God, it wasn't easy. When people saw me, they would not believe that was me, because I was completely disfigured. You would not recognize me unless I told you. But God was so faithful. God was so good. I reached a point when I realized I was recovering. That morning, I told Mama Betty. When I woke up, I was like, Mama, something is happening to me. Remember, I'd reached a stage where I couldn't walk on my own. I couldn't get up on my own. I couldn't sit up on my own. My body was completely swollen, and I couldn't even bend the way I do now. I would be stretched, and I only had one position to lie, day in, day out. I was supported in the bathroom. I was supported in the toilets. I couldn't do anything for myself. I was helpless. But I had people all around me to do this for me. You see, other teams come in, others leave. People were just flowing, very able to support me. And that is one thing I can't forget. And Mama Carol would call, would send messages, would encourage scriptures. And I kept all this under my pillow. I kept running this in my head. I kept running this in my mind. And I just told God, I will get through this no matter what, because your word declares that. So the first time I realized I was recovering was when my skin began to peel. Remember, I began to reduce. But before that, I'd reached a point at the beginning when this thing began. I reached a point for 4 days. I'd not passed out any waste. I'd not passed out any waste within my body. My stomach was swollen. My body was swollen. My everywhere was swollen. But somebody prayed with me on phone. And immediately, when I went, I was on medication at the same time, and I couldn't pass out anything. And I told the doctors, nothing is coming out, 4 days now. And I stopped eating because I was afraid of what next would come up. They tried all medications that couldn't work. So I told the doctors, I'm not going to eat now. So as I went for my evening treatment, one of the team members called and prayed with me. And that evening, I got my deliverance. That was the first time God delivered me. And I went to the toilet and I passed out something. Now, during the recovery process, so many things happened, including my skin. I lost my skin tone, but I don't regret that. All I need is life. All I have is Jesus. My skin began to peel. It first cracked. It could not even accept any treatment, not even the Vaseline that I could put on them. Nothing worked for me. Mama tried all kinds of oils to put on me. She got them, different types. Every day she sends people to go and get something that would improve my skin. But it just cracked, and my body became like the scale of a snake. And I just told the scale, even you shall pass, because nothing is impossible with my God. It took 2 days, and the skin began to peel. The skin began to peel off. My skin began to peel so much that you would be afraid when you saw it. It poured like flour on the ground. But still, I insisted. I concentrated on my medication. I concentrated on the Word of God. I concentrated on the love that everybody showered me. And I'm so grateful that no one left me. No one left me out. Everybody was so much into my recovery. And I appreciate everyone who participated during this time. I appreciate the director of Favour of God Ministries, Mama Carol. In your absence, everything worked out. Everything worked out. I thank you, Mama Betty, because you took me in just the way I was, regardless of how I looked, regardless of what was going on in my body. You took me in, you didn't reject me. and your family. This is the greatest family I've ever met, from the youngest to the eldest. Finding a baby coming to pray for me, pray for my legs. Children laying me down, struggling to lift me up, even when I told them it was impossible. That was one great thing I learned from that family: love and unity. It built me. It healed me. Accounting team, you were so amazing. You stood by me. IT team, they always struggled with me. Everybody was my caretaker. Hospitality, always following me up at the hospital to provide all they needed. The RIP team prayed with me. LTI. HR gift team, I'm so grateful, everyone. Women empowerment team. Transport, always running around with me for my treatments. How can I forget that? Construction, ICM, radio. I can't forget everyone. The school teachers. What kind of love is this? What kind of love does Favour offer? Who am I? Who am I? That God is so mindful of me to give me another chance. Who am I? And to our donors who made it possible for my most expensive treatment in the country. Our partners, I can't stop to thank you enough. I have nothing to offer. Personally, I have nothing to offer you, but only gratitude and prayer. I thank God that I'm still alive. I am a testimony. I am a testimony. I am a testimony. What God cannot do does not exist. God is alive. Now